Hello, Imaginers. It is Kyla Martin coaching you to the career and life that you imagined. Kicking off the third in my new series, Creating Your Dream Career in 2021. And on this episode, I want to build on the last two videos and talk to you about what are you thinking? I'm sure that was something that my parents said to me when I was growing up. But what I know now is that what we're thinking is actually what creates our actions and then ultimately our outcomes. There is always a thought that precedes the action and the outcomes that we take. And you can imagine if you're creating your dream career and you're not in your dream career now, there's probably some different things that you want to think to get there. And the great thing about changing your thoughts is that then you don't have to use willpower. And I've talked about this a little bit in the last two videos, but when we change our thoughts, then we can create the feeling we need, which comes next. And then we can create the action and the outcome naturally because we are using our higher brain, the thinking, which is where our long-term interests live. So I want to start with an episode of Seinfeld that I love because I think this demonstrates the concept so beautifully. There's a episode where George does something that is the opposite of what he normally does, and it results in an extraordinary outcome and something that he hadn't experienced before. So then he decides that he's going to change all of his thinking, do the opposite, and create an entirely different set of outcomes. And this is a version of what I want you to consider as you create your dream career, as you start to take action to move toward it. And not to say that you're going to need to change everything that you're thinking, but if you start to identify what you're thinking, then you can decide what you want to continue thinking and what maybe you want to alter the thinking for. So there is a million neural pathways in our brain that can create habits for us. And that's how we can stop using willpower if we start to use our neural pathways to create a habit. And basically a neural pathway is basically just a path from one thought to another. And that thought eventually tells our body to create the action and take the action. So this is why you don't have to really think about it when you brush your teeth, when you go to your favorite store. You can simply go to that habit that you have in your brain and it'll kind of put you on autopilot. So we want to start creating habits in your brain that are on autopilot eventually to create your dream career. Then you don't have to use willpower and you don't have to keep overcoming your fear, which for most of my clients sounds really good. It certainly was for me. So to identify what you're thinking, I want you to think about an event that happened in the last couple of days. And it can be something completely innocuous. It could be you going to the store. So when I went to the store the other day, I had a thought before I left for the store. I knew how to get to the store, so I didn't have to create a thought for that. But I did think about, what do I need to get from the store? I created a thought, right? And as I created that thought, then I used my habit to get to the store. And then I bought the things that I had created thoughts about that I needed. And then my action was buying them. And then the outcome was I brought them home and I had what I needed. This is exactly the same process we use to create really every aspect of the life that we have. And so as you're thinking about moving slowly, creating some bridges to your dream career, it's really important to identify what you're thinking about that. And for many of my clients, they're thinking things that they don't even realize they're thinking. Because again, our brain is set up to be efficient, our lower brain, our survival brain. And so we kind of have to hack it to get to the highest part of our brain, which again is where all of our long-term best interests live. You hear me talk about this a lot. So to hack it, we have to give it new thoughts to think so that it will eventually create a habit for that new thought. So an example is I was starting to move into my dream career, and I had to look at the thoughts that I was currently thinking. And as I started to identify what those thoughts were, it was things like, you don't know how to create a coaching business. You don't know how to be an entrepreneur. You don't know how to get clients. You don't know how to market yourself as an entrepreneur. And so I started looking at which of those thoughts were true, which of those thoughts were helpful. And some of them were true, right? But that's okay. Could I learn how to market as an entrepreneur? Yes. Could I use the same things that made me successful in my corporate career, the same know-how, the same ingenuity, the same passion to understand new things? Yes, I used all of those. I just slightly altered them to create new thoughts for the goals that I was setting that were new. So in my practice, I have my clients do a thought homework where they basically are looking at what have they been thinking about a few events over the past couple weeks, and then really identifying if those thoughts then serve them given the outcome, right? So we've all probably had things happen in the past week that we didn't love the outcome. It wasn't what we intended. So looking at and learning from what we were thinking can help you create a different outcome next time. And as always during this process, I want you to be kind to yourself as you're looking at your brain, as you're seeing what you're thinking, and realizing that I am giving you a way to hack it so that you can create a different outcome next time. So we don't want to berate ourselves for feeling, a certain way about this process, which we always had a thought that came before that. But we want to think about this as I've used the term private investigator before. So look at your own brain, open it up, see what's going on, and decide what you want to start to alter. Check out my website at Kyla Martin Consulting for some resources. And if you'd like to take this work deeper, I am kicking off my next online course, and I would love to have you inside. We take this work to much more of an application level. And basically, I teach you concepts and then we apply those concepts. And it can really take your work to an exponential level of clarity and learning and action. And of course, you know me, I always want you to take some small steps and bridges. And so I teach you how to do that inside the course as well. But I hope that these last 3 videos have given you some insights, some tools, some resources for the 3 steps to create your dream career in 2021. You know that I am cheering you on to taking a small step toward that this year, using some of the clarity perhaps you've gotten during 2020 to create the career and life that you actually imagined for the next year and in the years to come. Take care of yourself. Happy New Year. And I will see you hopefully inside my course.